they had the opportunity to take it. They chose not to. Does this mean that they just don't play the pick? And that's a very big concern if it is the case. Or are they just trying to bait it out? Are they just trying to say, you know what, we'll let people think we don't play it, and then when we have to pull it out, all of a sudden they get this massive power pick. Who knows what the case actually is with them?
Yeah, there's definitely a lot up in the air when it comes to that. I do want to start to talk about picks specifically here. And the draft is actually going to go live. Dynasty banning away Grumpjaw to start. What is the expectation coming in here? Are we expecting very early Grace bans? Like, well, I guess not. That's going to be a Baron ban.
Yeah, there's a Grace pick. So the interesting about the Grumpjaw ban is Mousesports has not shown to even take Grumpjaw when it's up. They actually ban it. They actually pick something else like Arden and ban Grumpjaw. So this is a very interesting ban by Dynasty here.
I'm okay with the Grumpjaw ban for Dynasty because, like we said, it then says, all right, Mousesports, you either have to ban away the Grace or ban away the Baron. And they're perfectly happy to take either of those two. With that Grace first pick, Dynasty has a very strong captain. And
it's going to be a Vox pick by Mousesports, most likely.
I would assume it would be a Vox pick, yeah.
Vox still available, and we've seen the power that it can have into a Grace. Actually, to be fair, we really haven't seen that power.
Seen
We've
Vox
talked
into
about
Grace,
it.
right?
Like, theoretically, it's amazing, but none of these teams are going for it. Mouse finally going to take up that advice.
Yep, they're going to go ahead and ban Glaive here, most likely. Oh, Idris, why? Why Idris? So, Glaive is a huge pick with Grace, so that's something that they can't allow to get through. So now I think Mousesports will probably pick Lyra here.
Excellent Arden ban, too.
Oh, Finn is actually decent into Grace.
But they just gave them
Baptiste.
the Baptiste Glaive.
Yeah, but Finn is good because Glaive and Baptiste thrive at a weak front line. With Finn, you have a strong front line. If Glaive goes in and gets quibbled, Vox can just dance around him. And Grace won't be able to do much because Grace can get quibbled as well. And there's a lot of CC that Finn can provide.
Grace can't get quibbled if she's using her B.
That's true. Only at level 8 though. If she maxes
yeah,
it.
once you have it overdriven, well, that's when Finn has a stun on his quibble too. So they kind of counteract each other there. It'll actually be really fun to see how that interaction works.
Justman had a great game on Finn during game one. Once he got towards the end of the game, he really came into his own, and it was specifically against Glaive as well.
I think they're gonna pick Samuel here. Definitely Glaive was obvious. I think Samuel might be the better pick here instead of Baptiste. So let's see if they're gonna go with that because Samuel and HF guy are just so strong. He can just constantly hit the front line, and then Glaive can dive in when someone is low.
I almost feel like Baptiste is really strong into Finn, even though Finn can't be stunned or feared. If you get a fearsome shade out and it hits the entire team, not only are you now fearing the entire team, but you're also splitting them up because the Finn is not going to move from the fear while the rest of the team is being forced away. So that's another kind of really cool interaction that could come out. I would love to see the Baptiste, and I love Baptiste into Vox as well.
We'll have to see what the option is going to be. 12 seconds for Dynasty.
But if they give over Samuel with Finn, that's a very strong combination there. Samuel Finn is actually extremely strong because of the pull. So yeah, they're going to take the Samuel, and then most likely this will be either a Kestro or a CP Blackfeather. Based on recent results, I think they're may lean towards more of the CP Kestro, but they can also pick the Blackfeather here because of Grace's nice engage there. Like, she can get onto Kestro really easily.
And we've seen that Blackfeather is definitely like quite a comfortable pick for Am the Doom. It's one that he's happy to pick up into most compositions. He's quite happy to just go with that as a default pick, if you will.
So we'll have to see. I would expect, I would not be surprised at all to see Blackfeather pick up. I don't necessarily think they have to go for it.
There we go. The Kestro gets picked.
Okay.
All right.
That is a risky pickup.
We have a bit of a treat on our hands, gentlemen. This is going to be an interesting game. The Grace coming through for Dynasty. How are we feeling about these compositions? Obviously, Dynasty, very aggressive in terms of picks with a Grace and a Glaive. If they can be aggressive early, they might be able to get ahead.
They can be aggressive early, and they can get past the Finn. Obviously, Finn's going to try and be this big tanky front line, blocking the damage coming out of the Samuel, but both Grace and Glaive can just go right past him. They have very long ranges with their engage. If they can get onto that Kestrel, they should be able to win this game.
How are you feeling about the Mouse composition, though, Sweetche?
Yeah, Mouse, if they get good traps, they bait the Glaive Afterburn in there, they get a trap stun and then a quibble. If it gets double stun, Glaive is literally dead meat. So I think Mousesports can win this game. It's actually pretty even with the draft, but I think Mousesports is going to take this match.
All right, well, we'll have to see if that is going to be the case. Hashtag Vainglory8 is how you can let us know who you want to win the European final this week. It's Dynasty up against Mousesports. We'll see if we can have another sick 3-game series as we pass it over to our casters.
Thank you very much, and this is been a fantastic day of Europe, AJ. Probably surpassed many people's expectations as to the level of gameplay that we were going to receive and the level of competition from all the teams in the semi-finals. Now hoping that this big matchup between Dynasty and Mouse lives up to the rest of this evening.
Yeah, you know, today has been a very interesting day of games. Obviously, yesterday was our first day on 2.6 and we weren't sure what to expect. I felt like we'd kind of seen what we were going to see in terms of innovation and new strategies, etc. yesterday, but today has really been, you know, some interesting new developments as well as a great deal of refinement on what we saw yesterday. And at the very least, I mean, Europe is looking kind of like a different animal than in the past. Like, they are much more aggressive. We're seeing a lot of fighting in the jungle early. Some of that they're not executing on that well. Some of it's a little bit too deep, too much. But some of it's working out really nicely. Now this time we got Dynasty trying to invade here. 2 versus 3 is a bit dicey. Mowgli!
What? Almost gets the steal. Doesn't quite land it. But that is just the power of grace, especially when you pop your boots early. You take boots level 1 so that you can actually make plays like that. PT Lamb, Mowgli looking like they're going to get this Elder Treant. Dynasty getting a lot of early game pressure.
Yeah, and that's one of the things which we're starting to see really comes with a Grace pick. Also, of course, Glaive, great pairing there to actually go aggressive early on. PT Lamb does need to start getting some farm up in the lane, though. Apfel doing a good job of getting underway here, starting to find some gold. And, you know, the Vox is one of his strongest picks. We will have to see if maybe that ban on Vox was a necessity coming in from Reliable Union earlier on, or if Dynasty can manage to find the win regardless.
Yeah, no, that's the thing, is that it was banned all 3 series against Apfel, so obviously Reliable Union, recognizing that Apfel's Vox is terrorizing. We'll have to see if Dynasty will feel the same later on into this series. They are going to port back now. It's a big difference in farm so far between PT Lamb and Apfel, especially considering Apfel is going to make it back to the lane first, so we can look to try and push some of these lower health CS into the turret, try and deny even more. But it's a very interesting start to the game, considering the early aggression that came out of Dynasty. We haven't seen anything since then.
We have not, but I think we're going to soon. Right now, I like what they're doing. They're just saying we can easily, basically every time, get the middle Treant, right? Like, there's not a good option for a return play from Mouse. I was about to think about handing it off there, but you know, it's hard for them to contest that with this Finn, for example, like not the strongest early game hero, and they're as a result spending a lot more time up in the lane just making sure Apfel gets healthy. I think once maybe, you know, an item is finished here, Dynasty's gonna flick a switch. You know, they're gonna start really pressuring the jungle. That's when I think Mowgli and Rickameza are gonna have the option to go very aggressive. We got to remember as well, Rickameza, he's been playing super good on the Samuel. So I like the fact that they've got that with the Grace. This is the kind of pairing in the jungle that I think Dynasty can use.
Yeah, I think that there's definitely a lot of strength available to Dynasty, but something to keep in mind is the fact that Apfel is playing this Vox, and Vox very good at dodging aggression and at least positioning himself better. You know, the afterburns. Oh, the Doom stole that. Nice. Yeah, that's really huge for the team at Mouse. You know, Apfel on this Vox, he can use that Sonic Zoom to position on the other side of an afterburn, which means he gets knocked away from his enemies rather than towards his enemies. Not only that, he can avoid Grace's engages. It's going to be kind of the Frostburn, I think, from the Samuel, from Rickameza, that's going to have to really hit onto Apfel so they can really land some superior engages onto Apfel.
That's definitely the case when it comes to team fights, but what I'm expecting, honestly, is for Rickameza, as I said, once his first item's completed, to start trying to pressure on the Doom in the jungle. I think maybe you don't find kills, but it's not that hard to force him back when you're pairing a Grace with the Samuel. Like, Finn Kestrel is not going to be comparable in a lot of situations. The thing that you've got to be careful about is active camos, obviously, but, you know, I think Dynasty, they've got their head screwed on straight. They should be able to play around those for the most part. They've got a Fountain now, maybe they'll want to skirmish with it, but it's a bit bold going for a full-on skirmisher team fight this early.
Yeah, no, well, they are going to move into the lane because Apfel is by themselves, and so if they can catch Apfel by himself, then it makes a lot of sense to look for as much engagement as possible. Really intrigued to see what Apfel's build will be on this patch. There's been so many great and very intriguing Vox builds, but with the current components, it's seemingly likely to be a Sora Blade coming through as his first item. Mowgli looking for a bit of a re-engagement. Look at those Malice and Verdicts doing the work for the side of Dynasty as they make their escape. Bit of damage onto Rikameza. There is a one-shot. It's going to connect. Oh, that is a beautiful first blood coming out of Doom.
Oh man, the camel going right through the thread there, right? Now, some very, very strong stuff coming out of I'm the Doom. You know, I feel like maybe Dynasty was like, all right, Mowgli, you get this. And Mowgli was like, all right, PT Lamb, you get this. Good luck for the team. Didn't pan out.
He's going to take one for the team right now as he takes glimmer shots. Oh my goodness, the fountain ticking away. Able to survive. Those glimmer shots are just edging towards Mowgli, but not quite connecting. Rikameza going to take a bit of baiting. There's a scout trap. Oh, it's not a scout trap, it's an active camo trap. And that's going to be another kill onto Rikameza. Doom set that one up ages ago. There was no way they would knew it was there. They've got a one-shot coming up in just a couple of seconds. 6, in fact, and Mowgli is so low. This turret is going to take a huge beating. If they turn onto one target, they can look to try and blow them up. It's just a shame that Mouse don't really have the energy to fire that one-shot off.
So I'm the Doom is pretty warmed up on the Kestrel. I do think one thing I would contest as sort of a plan from Dynasty is fighting at a choke point. You got Quibbles, you got splash damage from Apfel, you got glimmer shots and active camos. It's not where you want to be fighting. I think that was not worth trying. Then later on, when you saw the damage coming out of the turret and the fight in lane, that was just a simple matter of overstaying and getting crushed by the fact that I'm the Doom at that point could set up very freely by having initiative in the lane, being in a forward position and having the opportunity to set up ahead of time. Dynasty, they're starting to fall behind a little bit, but they do scale nicely just by virtue of the fact that Samuel's great in the late game. Grace is one of the best heroes at keeping him in the fight. Now, Apfel, though, starting to get scary already.
Yeah, so is Doom as well. This is going to be very interesting how this fight pans out as Mowgli takes so much damage in the process. Holding on to his fountain, he is very close to level 6 as well. He may even use that on himself to try and heal back up to
there
full.
It is. Yep,
there it is.
Going for it.
Yeah.
I think that's fairly smart, but now they gotta really pay attention to Justman here. If Justman hits 6 in the middle of an exchange, they might just go for it.
Well, he's very close. The Oblivion goes out, blocked up by Justman. Here comes I'm the Doom, shooting so much damage out. One shot is currently available. Could look for it onto a Rikameza or onto Mowgli even. Not bad targets, neither of them. There's the pull, but it just goes right through the center. Goal scored, but here comes the wave for it. Apfel charging forward. Fountain used. They're trying to turn around. I'm the Doom's in the middle of it all, throwing these glimmer shots out, but the minion wave is just pulling in towards it. The one shot this time doesn't quite find the back side of Rikameza, and everyone's going to return to their positions.
Apfel's a monster on this Vox, dude. I can see why Reliable Union was banning it away. He was able to play in and out of these fights very smartly around things like Mowgli's crowd control, around what PT Lamb has to offer. Grace does struggle at landing the big crowd control onto someone like a Vox. I think the key thing later on is going to be trying to land the Holy Nova onto the Kestrel. The focus for the Vox is just going to be getting a directional shield down so that no matter what, he's just basically doing reduced damage. That's pretty much how that one works. I'm the Doom. I'd like to see him start to pressure a little bit more here as well. If he can find some good shots on someone like PT Lamb or Rikameza, it'll be a nice opportunity for Mouse to dive in. Apfel can probably train through someone. Things are definitely moving Mouse's way in terms of the way that the map is developing too. They're forcing reactions out of Dynasty, and whenever you have that kind of ability to make your opponents do the moves you want, it lets you really play your game. Justman's got forced to court up again. Maybe they'll look for it.
Yep, he is hidden. He's going to pull Rikameza in, but a great reaction from Mowgli stops that from being disastrous for the side of Dynasty. And the Doom level 9. A lot of damage. It's going to be Afterburn knocking him sideways, but he is okay with that. Wait for it goes out, but not really much coming out of Mouse. More used as a defensive tool rather than to go on the offensive. This turret will go down though, and that's going to be even more gold going over to the side of Mouse.
I'm really curious to see what direction I'm the Doom takes his in for his third item. He's on 900 gold. So, sorry, Apple. So we might see next time he shops what direction he's thinking about. Attention Bow doesn't seem like a terrible plan, but I'm not sure it's as good as Breaking Point, considering how Grace can make these fights go a little bit longer. It really depends on his preference here, I think, to a certain extent. And also, you know, whether or not he's trying to just sync up with I'm the Doom and blow someone up, or if he's trying to really utilize the fact that he is a Finn and play that longer fight on his terms. You know, this is interesting, actually, because there is a big decision to be made here. It will dictate a lot of how the fights develop later on. I'm the Doom probably, I would expect, just going to continue going towards burst damage and really set up for Apple to hunt someone down afterwards. And I think similarly, you know, itemization on the side of Dynasty, fairly self-explanatory, but the Apple build really does determine a bunch of things here.
I think it's going to be an Aegis completed, and then he will go towards his third damage item. The good thing about Vox is, on a Solar Blade Poison Shiv, he actually does a lot of damage. The attack speed increase from the Poison Shiv means that he can kind of really output a lot. He has the sustain as well to try and survive PT Lamb. And he's relying on Doom to land a lot of damage as well, so that's there as well. Got that Forced Chord being blocked up once more. Quick fingers from Mowgli this time on the Crucible, something that we wondered a little bit about in the series against SK. Some Crucibles potentially could have been used and would have been pretty good for Dynasty, but unfortunately weren't. Good to see that the Forced Chords are not really getting any value so far.
You know, I don't feel like they have to do this, but I'd almost like to see Mouse kind of push the advantage that they have by trying to bait in the members on the side of Dynasty. You could, for example, set up a scout trap, not a scout trap, an active camo.
It's not just me!
In a location, and then sort of intentionally like go for an obvious Forced Chord.
Right.
That's a bit too far out of position. Sort of encourage Dynasty to jump on your Finn and then go for the turnaround. Because the thing is, Crucible's always going to get used on Forced Chord, like pretty much 100% of the time. As a result, you know your active camo is going to connect. So they have ways of forcing Dynasty, as we mentioned before, into bad positions.
Here we go, fight breaking out. A lot of damage being put down. The silence going to hit onto Rikameza. One shot though, won't quite find a target. A Crucible used early. They would expect that Forced Chord to come in. That's a really big opportunity now. Do we have reflex blocks? Only on Rikameza. They can pull people in, and it's going to be PT Lamb. He dives straight towards I'm the Doom. I'm the Doom just about escapes. Oblivion goes down, but look at the damage onto PT Lamb. He is just disgustingly low and will fall. Can Apple dodge these Malice and Verdicts? He is going to get locked up by the Grace, but he just does away. And look at the damage. Oh, Justman just standing in front, being a bully. This is beautiful stuff. An ace comes through from Mouse, and fantastic positioning from both Apple and Justman to make sure that they could take the end of the fight.
That polite company from Justman won them the fight. Like that was unreal. It actually pulled Grace out of range of knocking up Apple when Apple did not have a way out of the Holy Nova. That's why they won 100%, because if that Holy Nova connects, Apple goes down immediately thereafter. Rikumeza, he's going to be able to do it. PT, what are you doing, man? Trying to make a point here. But no, like, seriously, that polite company was out of this world.
So I haven't played Grace. I'm not a captain main, and I'm not going to play in the jungle. So I don't quite know the order you level up your abilities. But from what I was kind of gathering from the desk, you actually go for Holy Nova as your first overdrive. Currently Mowgli has gone towards his A Benediction.
So Bacon was talking about Holy Nova. I don't think that is the typical build path, to be honest.
Okay.
Benediction's overdrive
I think
gives
you're right.
you cooldown reduction every time you land your perk, which at the very least is every time you Benediction because it automatically applies. But realistically, especially against a target like Finn, you're going to be getting so much cooldown reduction from overdriving A. And then a lot of Graces just go for 3 ranks in her ultimate, and I can see why. The heal is honestly more valuable than having CC and vulnerability, especially against this team. Like, the only person who's really going to mess you up a lot of the time is going to be the Finn with the Quibble, and I think you're fine with him quibbling you versus quibbling one of your other guys.
Look at that! That Quibble! The damage onto Mowgli! He has to use his ultimate on himself. Wow, I'm doing some research whilst you you make your point, AJ, and I think you are completely correct. From every pro I've seen,
Yeah,
so
I don't
far
know
in solo
anyone who
queue.
actually overdrives B. I think
Yeah.
it's a fine overdrive in the right situation. That situation being, you know, you're playing against like a Baptiste, a Finn, and I don't know, a Catherine
Glaive,
or something,
why not?
right? Like there are some situations where you want it, but it's certainly not the frequent pickup. Especially because, I mean, you're going to buy a Crucible anyway. You're going to be able to deal with many of the things that can be offered here.
Dynasty want the fight here. Apfel, he's going to struggle to escape the clutches of PT Lamb. Maybe not. PT Lamb goes right down. They're going to pull everyone back into the fight. Rikameza just on this hero. He's about to escape. It seems likely the one shot will not quite connect. Wow, PT Lamb and Rikameza seemingly look like they were going to die there, but it turned out it was just going to be Mowgli. Now a Kraken being started up with a Apfel on this box. They can take it very quickly, and actually Doom, with the cooldown reduction on the clockwork, is going to provide a lot of damage with Glimmer Shots. If he sets up the active camera traps right, well, it doesn't even matter.
Okay, so we're seeing that Apfel actually did go for the breaking point as we expected. I think that's super smart. At this point, the only way, honestly, the only way that the side of Dynasty wins the fight is if PT Lamb blows up Apfel. And it's just, he's not able to do it in a lot of these fights. The protection from Just Man is too good. Polite Company, even if you have Just Man separated from Apfel by a decent margin, is not going to work. PT Lamb, though.
Oh, whoa! PT Lamb. He gets out, but the one shot's going to come through, surely. It's going to go close, but it doesn't connect. That's going to be Mowgli trapped, and Rikamez is forced to port back to base. He can't defend this turret. It's a free turret. The Kraken's not even here. I don't think anyone will get damaged by the explosion. This is a full HP Kraken marching into the base, and this could just be it.
I think, honestly, it probably will be here. Apfel does have a little bit of health down already, but he has so much damage, he can just turn this fight.
Oh, the stuns onto Mowgli, just preventing him from doing any damage. The one shot onto PT Lamb. They've used the heal to heal up Mowgli. First turret goes down. Apfel playing with fire, but he gets the heal from the fountain, and now they're just going to try and finish the game right here, right now. PT Lamb knocks Doom away, but he somehow goes invis. Okay, he's down, but Apfel, he is just uncontested, and that is going to be game one of this series going over to Mouse.
Very strong performance from them. Dynasty did not find the openings they were looking for a large portion of the game, and I think we've seen, you know, maybe Reliable Union were on the right track with that Vox ban. Looking towards draft number 2, Dowsey, I'm almost expecting to see it. It's just so good on Apfel.
Another question. No contraption, or at least too late, too little. This is a very interesting dynamic we found ourselves in, because Mouse struggled so hard against Reliable Union, a team who you would expect to be weaker than Dynasty, considering Dynasty stomped them in week 1. Lots of questions to be asked, but we got the team to do it, so let's throw it back to the A-team.
Thank you very much, guys, and much more one-sided game than what we saw out of both sides of the semi-finals. Mouse really running away with that one, just kind of going back to form, what we've been expecting of Mouse so far.
Yeah, it was really well played. They did a good job of keeping the Kestrel safe. That was the key to this matchup, was making sure Kestrel stayed safe, because you knew that the side of Dynasty were going to be trying to dive onto the Kestrel. It then allowed Vox the freedom to just kind of dance around the fight and do really whatever he felt like.
Yeah, and Kestrel just played so well. Doomed really won the early game there. He landed a critical ultimate that got him the first kill, and you can see it's going to happen right here. And just beautiful Kestrel plays. But look at his ultimate and look at the placement. He gets a kill there, but this trap here is a second kill he gets. 2-0, gets him on the trap, and then boom, Samuel just gets deleted right there. So really well played by Doom. This is why Kestrel is so often banned against him, because he's just so proficient in this hero.
Yeah, he is one of the best in the world on the Kestrel. A phenomenal player. But then we also had Apfel just kind of dishing out the damage in these fights. Because of so much threat being pulled by I'm the Doom, he could do what he wanted.
Yeah, and that's exactly what we saw in that replay, where, you know, Kestrel was the target, had so much thrown down to try and take her out, ends up getting to a safe distance, re-engages the fight, and now Apfel is already dealing a lot of damage as that Vox. By the time the Kestrel re-engage comes through, Dynasty was just not in a position to be able to continue that fight.
Yeah, Dynasty just feeling a little bit lackluster in that one, feeling maybe not quite as coordinated as they need to be, because there was a couple of times where, like PT Lamb, for example, partway through the game, just got caught out. A fight was done, they'd finished, been back to base and came out, and he just gets caught out. And it's like little bits like that against a team like Mouse, that is going to punish you with the entire game.
Yeah, Justman plays such a huge role in here. He CC'd them. You can see whenever Grace went in, she usually gets CC'd. I mean, Vox and Finn just completely countered Grace and counters Glaive on top of that. And CP Kestrel and Samuel is more of a skill matchup, but CP Kestrel outranges the Samuel and made a lot of plays there. But you can see there the Finn-Vox combination against this composition just worked really well. Grace just couldn't do much. She would go in and get focused down so easily and get low and have to back off. And that's not Grace's playstyle. Her win condition is to go in and dive the enemy composition. It just didn't work with this Finn Vox.
Yeah, I think just couldn't get tanky enough, quick enough to be that effective.
It was very similar to the Game 3 matchup that Dynasty had against SK, where it felt like they have the hard engage with the Grace and the Glaive, and then their third pick is just like this backliner that wants to kind of stick around in the back of the fight, and it just doesn't end up working. You need to be able to all in onto a target like that Kestrel, and so I feel like they got a little bit lucky with SK playing that very unconventional composition in the semifinal, but this time Mousesports were able to capitalize and say, you know what, we know you can't split your focus, even though your composition is very much a split focus composition.
All right, well, we'll see what they're going to change coming into this draft. Baron going to be taken away by Mousesports once again. Dynasty now, the onus is on them. There are a lot of picks that
they're going to ban Vox here, and it makes more sense. If they ban Grumpjaw, Mousesports is just going to pick Vox again. Then you can't pick Grace into. Like I said, Vox is really good into Grace, and Mousesports just proved that theory there. Oh, they're going to ban Grumpjaw. They're following the same draft. Mousesports will most likely pick up either Lyra or Voxer, but I feel like they're going to pick the Vox, because if they don't, it will be banned or taken away from them. So let's see what Mousesports is going to decide here.
Yeah, a lot of options available to them, but the Vox definitely feels like a power pick. Also, things like Grace are first pickable, but we've seen Mouse really not favoring the Grace all too much.
Yeah, they haven't really put a whole lot of focus on it. They've kind of let it through the draft. They've played against it. They've banned it away a couple of times, but they're really putting a lot of thought into this one. I'm wondering if they are just contemplating if they want the Vox or the Grace.
They might even first pick Kestrel, actually, so that they make sure Doom is going to be on his signature hero. But I think out of the three options, it's going to be Lyra, Kestrel. Oh, they're going to go with Arden. Wow. So that's an interesting pick, because now Kestrel and Vox can be banned against them and taken away from them. I think this is a very risky pick here by Mousesports, because Arden, even though strong, is not good into Grace.
Yeah, potentially wanting to keep their cards close to their chest, but maybe have misplayed on this draft. We'll have to find out as the draft continues. It's going to be Grace picked up by Dynasty, and now looking towards the next ban.
Yeah, it's especially curious because of the fact that they've already shown they can play the Finn extremely well. You don't expect there to be an Arden and or Finn picked up for the side of Dynasty after they have the Grace pick, and they can only ban away one of them. So I feel like they definitely should have locked down their Vox or their Kestrel pick.
Okay, we'll see how Dynasty will react, whether they can take both of those away, whether they want to take both of those away. Definitely, we've seen some of the teams within EU like to go with very different drafts to what you would expect to be the case. I'm going to be intrigued to see if Mowgli goes for the Finn this time as well.
Yeah, they're probably gonna ban Vox here and take Glaive potentially, because I think Vox would make the most sense. Giving Vox Arden is actually very dangerous, because Arden gives Vox that mobility, but instead they're gonna ban the Blackfeather away, which is so interesting because again, Doom is good on CV Blackfeather, but that's not a hero that poses a huge threat like his Kestrel does.
Perhaps looking to pick up the Kestrel. We'll have to see with the next couple of picks. Only 16 seconds of bonus time remaining. So, Dynasty running out of time. They've got to start to make these decisions now.
Yeah, they have to take the Vox here. If they give Vox Kestrel over to Mousesports, that's a very dangerous combination and very strong comfort picks on Mousesports here. So they need to take the Vox or the Kestrel here, potentially. They actually go with Batiste.
Okay, Grace Batiste. We've kind of let that slip through the conversation. Very strong. We saw it dominant earlier today. Is it enough to close the gap against Mouse? That was the question we were asking earlier. Now we're going to find out.
I think it is. It also does really well into Arden. You can cancel off the gauntlets with two different abilities on the Batiste, but it's going to be difficult to choose where do you prioritize. Do you focus on canceling the gauntlet, or do you try and shut down this Vox?
Yeah, they're probably going to go with Samuel or Kestrel here. Again, range counters Baptiste, so Kestrel would be the better pick, honestly, not Samuel. Samuel is easier to lock down with Baptiste and Grace. So with Kestrel, they can actually outrange the Baptiste and not come within range. However, when Grace maximizes and overdrives her Benediction, her A, it goes from a range 7 to a range 9. So she actually get on Kestrel very quickly once she reaches level 8.
And
so
especially if it's a CP Kestrel, once they're actually onto you, it's very difficult to escape. You can't use that active camo to get yourself out of the situation.
Yeah, the other thing is there's no real on-demand crowd control from the side of Mousesports, so this is definitely going to be a Benediction max for the Grace. The only maxing overdriving the B is a great utility, but only when there is on-demand crowd control.
So a lot of pressure on Justman to get those gauntlets perfect. But we've got to look at this Dynasty comp right now. This is surely the dream comp right now. This is the meta comp.
Yeah, this is the comfort comp versus comfort comp. So both these teams play all these heroes extremely well. So it's going to come down to skill, really, a skill matchup. However, I feel like I'm the Doom on this Kestrel along with F1's on Vox is going to be able to take this game as well.
I'm going to go the opposite side. I think Dynasty with the Grace Baptiste Glaive is just such a devastating composition. They should be able to get all 3 members diving and focusing on the same target and be able to blow them up.
All right, we'll have to wait and see if Dynasty can push this to a 3rd game in our finals. Let us know who you're supporting. Hashtag Vainglory8. Get involved in the conversation. But without further ado, let's pass it to our casters for game number 3.
Thank you very much, and this is going to be very interesting. We see this very meta, it seems, composition being the Grace, the Baptiste, and the Glaive for the side of Dynasty. PT Lamb's Glaive has been monstrous so far in the VG8, but it's I'm the Doom on this Kestrel, it's Apfel on this Vox, and seemingly Mouse going to be very comfortable going into Dynasty's dream composition.
So we've talked before today about the fact that Dynasty has had very consistently good performances on B side. They tend to pick up this Grace, and they just seem to have something about their draft that they really thrive on in the situation. But I am a little bit concerned about how specifically this composition is going to interact with what is being offered here by Mousesports. I do wonder if maybe Dynasty has tunnel visioned a little bit on a draft that has been successful for them in the past. It's honestly going to be quite hard for Mowgli to be effective against the Vox. We've seen that already. We've seen the Glaive shut down by, some of the stuff that Mouse has to offer too. So it's all about Baptiste. Is Baptiste strong enough to be the difference maker between last game and this game?
We'll soon find out, as it is going to be the side of Mouse starting to move towards the lane. We do see that Doom has secured his full rotation, but won't be contesting this central treant, respecting the fact that Rukameza on this Baptiste, paired with the Grace, just provides such a strong level 1, level 2 fight that you can't really contest against. What I want to see, though, will Dynasty invade? It's what really helped them storm ahead in their semi-final against SK, trying to shut down the squishy Samuel, I believe it was. Now it is going to be a Kestrel.
The Mouse actually managed to steal that one away. Dynasty, they're continuing to try and pressure regardless, though. This is very bold.
One was secured, one was not. Mowgli's taking a lot of damage. That's a PT Lamb. They're looking to fight here, but the Ordained will keep at least Apfel back. I'm the Doom, very low on energy, but Apfel's going to charge forward. He's looking for the fight. He's going to go onto PT Lamb here, stops Mowgli from pulling back as well. Bad Mojo thrown out, but they've split, and it's going to be 3 chasing 2. PT Lamb says, let me be the sacrificial lamb, as he has an afterburn. He's going to start porting in this push. I think he gets away. No, the Glimmer Shot connects, and there he goes, up over the wall, and he's gone. Apfel won't find the kill onto Mowgli, so Dynasty do survive, but what do they lose in all of this? Look at the farm going to crash into the turret. Apfel actually has to be careful. Maybe it won't crash into the turret after all.
Oh, that's brutal. Okay, so yesterday after the game, where we saw this comp put it as a Koshka instead of Glaive, I messaged Mowgli and I was like, dude, I think this is a great comp, but I was really worried about you playing it into the Samuel and all the stuff he had going on. And he was like, look, we just need to work on our early game. Our early game was nowhere near good enough for the comp. We should have been super dominant. Then we come into today, and they're 3-man invading when they have like level 1 members still, right? I can't help but feel like that's not necessarily correct. Like, that's just... that is aggression almost for the sake of aggression, right? Unless you get every single camp, it's just never going to pan out, especially against the Kestrel. I honestly think Mouse, if they'd made slightly different moves, would have found 2 kills there. Easily. No problem. So, you know, it was very bold. And gotta be careful when you have a strategy that's kind of a pocket strategy, right? It's something you've really prepared, you really know, it's like a set piece, you know that you're gonna bring it to the table. You gotta be careful not to lose the ability to adapt in the heat of the moment to what your opponents have. I do not think that that play made sense into the Kestrel, into the Arden, things that can disappear or get more tanky with the Vanguard or turn around and do a lot of damage if you make a misstep. As a result, we saw the kill. We also saw Sentry go the way of Mouse. Sorry, not Sentry, Middle Tran. So things are already kind of hairy for Dynasty. They gotta be careful not to let it get out of control.
You make a nice little invade and still cut away some of the camps just now, but it is going to be Mouse fairly even as things stand up for moving down to the shop, but Rickamezza is currently guarding it a little bit dicey for Apfel as he's actually not going to get the item he wants. PG Lamb's going to cut him off. They're going to look to try and triangulate on his position. Fountain goes out. Apfel gets the heal. I'm the Doom going to land down Glimmer Shots, but Just Man is going to lose his life to a bad mojo thrown from Rickamezza, and that's going to be a 1-for-1 scoreline now even.
That was brutal, actually, for Apfel there.
Doom?
He tried to move down. There's a Sentry here.
Oh, Doom. That is just really poor understanding of your opponent's positions.
Sentry defeated.
Yeah, that was a couple of missteps, actually, from Mousesports. But let's start at the beginning, because it really all went together here. So the big thing to begin with is that Apfel got blocked by Rickamezza. And I think where the mistakes began is not just saying, okay, I'm still going to go to the shop and buy. Look at him, he's on 1,800 gold right now. Yes, Rickamezza was there, but you'd actually flared, I believe, the other shop push, so you knew he wasn't backed up. You can just take a bit of damage to get your item and turn on Rickamezza. You've also got I'm the Doom on the flank, in your jungle who can come and back you up. So sometimes you just have to make the bold play, and that was actually exactly the time where I think Apfel needed to. Then he bailed, but PT Lamb was like, oh, so he just tried to shop and was unable to. I'll just cut him off on the way back to lane. He's super squishy right now. Easy aggression from the side of Dynasty. Yeah, Apfel didn't end up being the one that went down. It was, Just Man being the sacrificial lamb. But still, Dynasty, they pinned him in. And because Apfel didn't have, the boldness to actually make that shop, there was no way they could really win a fight. There was just a big item discrepancy. Then on top of that, you saw, he was unable to participate when the Sentry would have been something they could leverage to find more. It just all went wrong from that one misplay.
Look at this, it's going to be Just Man knocked completely out of position. PT Lamb may lose his life still. Diamond Doom looking for the kills. Everyone's lined up here. And I'm the Doom thread the needle once more. One shot comes out. Mowgli will be taken on down. It's the wait for it that actually finishes the job. And a snipe from both Apfel and Doom being paired for that result. Both captains go down. I'm the Doom looking for a trap here. Will Rickamezza fall for it? Doesn't seem like it. But a bit of damage may go down to this turret. Both PT Lamb and Rickamezza are vulnerable, but they could blow someone up in a heartbeat if they land an afterburn. It's not going to happen.
One thing I really like about...
It may happen. Apfel very far forward. He's going to go for the kill. Yep, okay. That should not have happened. Mistakes from Mouse. I make these predictions, AJ, based on the fact that I expect a little bit more respect, I think, from Mouse. And respect hasn't been the name of the game. This game.
No, they've been sort of choosing weird times to go in and out of these fights a little bit. They have done some very smart things, like they've been able to fight those super early game fights to keep it as even as it is now. They've also been finding good consistent pressure onto the enemy turret, which is something you can really do well with a Kestrel pickup. I like that they go in, they burn all of the Glimmer Shots, and they just leave, right? And then they can go in later if they want to and finish up the turret, but they don't commit to it. They're just, they're playing around these things. But what they are failing to do is know when and where Dynasty will push them, right? And it should, you should always assume, especially if you don't have vision, that Dynasty does, and that they are going to find the best possible times for them, and therefore the worst for you, to go in. They're not doing that. Like, they're committing to recalls when they need to back each other up. They're getting trapped because they try and rotate back to lane the non-safe way. They're not giving respect, like you said, to Dynasty. Instead, they're assuming that Dynasty won't be in the right position. And there's no good reason to do that when you don't have vision.
Glaive doesn't need much HP to single out a single, one opponent in a lane and throw him towards a Baptiste. Like, you really just need to respect the power that these heroes bring. And I'm not saying that it's game over for Mouse by any stretch of the measure. It's just these are little advantages that you're giving over to Dynasty. They've got a 2,000 gold lead at this point, and you don't need to be giving them anything for free. Make them work for their leads. At least that way you keep yourself more even in this game. Dynasty, with the siege, not quite working out for the Mowgli, taking a lot of damage, does have divine intervention. Have to be careful of I'm the Doom's Kestrel and the ability to really poke people down from range.
Dynasty are not Mousesports. You know, they can't siege. They don't have a composition for that. They need to be actually finding fights. Right now, they're not even attempting to. They're just trying to push lane.
They can go for one shot now. The turret goes, and where does PT Lamb hide is the question. That's going to be a gauntlet going down. The one shot flies out, doesn't connect, but they're looking for the fight on the other side. Rikomeza throws out the fear, does stun up. Apple very low, but the fountain comes out. Apple just about able to escape, and PT Lamb looking to charge on him, but won't find a primary target. Everyone from Dynasty all healed up thanks to that divine intervention fountain combination. They could look to maybe poke down a little bit more. They don't have a minion wave is the problem, so having to steal camps, maybe get a crystal sentry is their only option.
That gauntlet was absolutely fantastic. I want to highlight that for a second because it really did separate PT Lamb. But Mouse had the wrong reaction to the gauntlet being so good. They said, all right, well, PT Lamb's low, I'll go for the one-shot, right? Apple was fighting elsewhere. They needed target focus. Like, during that gauntlet where everyone was split, they had the opportunity to kill one person very quickly, and they chose to try and split focus by, I'm the Doom committing to PT Lamb with a one-shot. They honestly could have found kills there, and as a result of their misplay, they're actually going to lose Sentry here. The gold lead actually maintained and extended a little bit from Dynasty. So when you're playing against a Grace especially, you need to have good target focus. It's more of an issue than it usually is, because if you don't have good target focus, then not only does neither person die in the first instance, but when you eventually, lose some health because the target focus wasn't there and they turn it around, but then they also get to heal one of those people up and it backfires completely, right? It really goes poorly in that situation.
Despite the fact that there is a gold lead over to Dynasty, it does feel like Mouse are currently dictating the pacing of this game. The range advantage they have seemingly being the catalyst to their ability to keep Dynasty at bay. They clear these waves very quickly with the Resonance and the Glimmer shots, and I'm the Doom just landing consistent damage. That one shot won't connect. Divine Invention will heal them back up. PTNM coming forward, but they have the Gauntlet ready to go. Yeah, that's a huge stun onto Doom, but he gets the Vanguard. He escapes fine, and now they're looking to return on. That's the first kill going over. Great Gauntlet catches Rikomeza down. Apple trying to get the kill. Will he get it? Yes, he will. And this should be another ace going over to Mouse as Mowgli tries his best to hold everyone at bay, but I'm the Doom is going to snipe him to death. An ace for Mouse. They're going to look to capitalize off it.
Man, Sweet Joe was talking about Just Man's gauntlets earlier on. I gotta give it to him. They are just on point again and again. Last fight they were great, but not capitalized on. This time they were perfect, and they didn't even need to be capitalized on because the fight was already pretty over, to be honest. Also, again, what's with their opponents? What's with Dynasty trying to force these fights by the turret? Why not? I mean, just taking gold mine is basically fully stacked there. Could have gone for that. Could have gone for Sentry. Could have gone for back camps. They don't have siege. They do not have good siege. They do not outrange people like Kestrel. It's not as if Baptiste is playing against a triple melee comp and he can go up in siege. That's not going to happen. You've got to play to your composition's win conditions, skirmishing, team fighting, early game pressure in the jungle. Those are the things Dynasty can do. They cannot push turrets yet. They don't have that big a lead.
Currently, at full, building towards his second damage item, going to be a breaking point seemingly. I'm the Doom, consistently going down this double Shatterglass build. Very good into double squishies, and I think that PGLM's build is fairly squishy despite the fact that Glaive is a tanky hero. One shot connects, look at that, 400 damage onto him. A lot of damage Now Mouse can continue charging forward. Just Man, he doesn't have a gauntlet. It's not up for 20 seconds, so Mouse can't hard chase, but they've done enough to push Dynasty back here and really set up for the next part of this fight, which would be Gauntlet Part 2 in this series, I guess.
Keep your eye on Rikumeza, though. He's 1 away from popping his perk, and he's hitting for 500 plus every time he bad mojos with that on. And that was actually before he even popped Infusion, which he now has active. He's got to look for the right target, though. Needs to be I'm the Doom or Apfel, ideally. I'm the Doom is even better with the lack of shielding on him.
Yeah, you stack up your Reap passive on the minion wave, throw the bad mojos out. They're going on to Apfel. It's a good stun. A lot of damage being put out. There's the gauntlet. Everyone's trapped inside it. Wait for it flies out, but it's Mouse not really wanting the fight. Another divine intervention comes out from Dynasty, and that is everyone healed back up, and everyone on Mouse looking very weak. Justman does have Fountain. Apfel going to try and clear the way, but it's going to be another Crystal Sentry focus, it seems, from Dynasty, and this is going to be the third and final elimination from the map. Dynasty at least have set up. If they start coming back in this game, they will never have to worry about the Crystal Sentry.
Yeah, it's totally gone now, which is definitely good. It doesn't mean that Dynasty can't leverage it for more
they're all
plays.
stacked
Here comes
up.
the fight, though.
Apfel dodges backwards. They've got the trap set up. That's going to be a Bane going out, but it was onto Justman, not really the main target. And Apfel, he's so risky. He's so far forward. One shot flies out. Can Apfel do the work? Look at the damage coming out of this man. First heal goes down, a second to Doom. And Doom going to continue charging forward, but he doesn't have the one shot to finish off the job. Can he find a glimmer shot? No, he's not going to, but he will be able to steal the backs. Apfel is absolutely a crazy man on this Vox. It is insane his confidence in team fights when he has this hero.
You know, it is absolutely insane, but at the same time, he's playing poker whilst looking at the opponent's hand. They already burned a bunch of cooldowns. He knew that. Apfel knew that he could get on the backline without getting crowd controlled because Ordained had just been used to stun Justman, because Mowgli had already dashed onto the backline. These were things that were very, calculated risks from Apfel, and whilst he had that window, he didn't waste any time. He managed to make it work. As a result, Mouse are now firmly in the lead. I mean, for goodness sakes, look at the turret. Has hardly even taken any damage. Dynasty, they're on the back foot, and I don't see an easy way into it. They're going to need to find a pick. That is the answer, which means that Mowgli needs a lot of vision. I like the contraption for just that reason. Maybe if he does surprise Mouse by having a lot of vision, he will be able to look for that pick.
Yeah, he's really going to have to find Doom out of position, trying to set up a sneaky trap. Doom loves to go for them. It's his strongest point, and perhaps his weakest at the same time, is his ability to carry games and throw them simultaneously by mispositioning or over-positioning for these great risky plays. Currently this siege, though, just not successful from Dynasty. Consistently looking for this pick. The flares flying out, trying to find everyone, keep eyes on Mowgli. Mowgli going to be throwing the scout traps down and spotting out these active camo. Kraken is here. It's a really not a huge gold lead for Mouse, considering all things.
It doesn't need to be, though. I mean, they have a comp that can utilize this gold lead very well. Here comes the engage.
Doom's caught out. He gets the fountain, but there's the active camo trap. Is it enough? Gauntlet goes down. Rikumeza can't get in. Fearsome Chase comes through, but it's just not enough. Apfel with a first. Apfel looking for a second here, but it looks like it's going to be him just chasing onto Rikumeza and letting Mowgli go down to I Am the Doom. I love the confidence in his teammate to finish his job, and Apfel looking for the ace. Can he find it? No, he's under 2 turrets. He's just going to kill himself. Oh, he gets the ace. Does not matter. The ace comes through, and now they can look to push down, even secure a Kraken.
All right, so in that fight, PT Lamb almost did what he needed to do, right? Like, you've got to burst someone down on this weapon-powered wave. That's what is strong about the pick. But Rikumeza was very far away from that fight, and on top of that, when he actually came back into the fight, he decided to use Fearsome Shade to try and execute I'm the Doom, rather than trying to peel Apfel off of PT Lamb or Mowgli. It was a bit dicey. PT Lamb is going to come in here, though.
Yeah, this is so risky. He's got the scout traps at active camo. One shot flies out. It's secured by In the Doom. Whoa. Kestrel does not take Kraken very quickly by herself. More quickly than Samuel and Sky, but not quick enough to secure the fact that it's going to be a safe take of the Kraken. PT Lamb almost stole that.
Yeah, that was very, very close. It honestly could have gone the other way. But Mousesports, now with that Kraken, are just in prime position to take home the game. They 2-0 Dynasty here if they lock it in. and that would be a second win in a row week-wise for Mousesports, a team coming into the split that no one really could have anticipated being this strong. GG, they're just going to go for it.
Yeah, wait for it flies out. That's a huge sign. Let's look at the damage onto Rickameza. Apple's in the middle of it all, and look, he's just going to go down, but Mowgli will get caught here. Kraken's still alive. They're going to try and find I'm the Doom. I think they have to try and find I'm the Doom, try and burn him up before the Kraken does too much damage. It's 20 seconds on Rickameza. He will give up chase unless PT Lamb goes down. Divine Intervention keeps him nice and safe for now. This is very risky from I'm the Doom. I don't think they can realistically get too close to this turret. But if the Glimmer shots connect, just even if it's 1 or 2, then it might just be enough for this Kraken to secure 1 Bane Crystal turret.
Yeah, I think that Kraken won't quite find it. But let's talk about that fight a little bit. That was an absolutely unbelievable fearsome shade from Rickameza. I'm honestly surprised the fight didn't go further in Dynasty's court. The problem was that, you know, the one shot came out afterwards. It really softened them up. Great gauntlet just to make sure that Mowgli couldn't stay particularly healthy and maybe turn the fight. But the fearsome shade, that's like the dream scenario. Like, you fear the captain and one of the damage dealers, and you kill the carry. Beautiful stuff. If you can find something like that again, I honestly think, you know, Dynasty, they've got the single target burst to maybe turn some of these fights around.
It's always been that case with this composition, that if they manage to get onto one target, whether it be Kestrel, probably the priority, then they can blow her up. Apfel does have some sustain. Now going towards some crit to finish off his build here. Dynasty still attempting to get this first turret, but just being denied. It's not even dropped under half HP yet. 20 minutes into this game, AJ, it doesn't feel like Dynasty are out for the count just yet, but it certainly seems like Mouse are getting closer to securing their second week of EU.
They are definitely within reach of it. See the infusion picked up on Kestrel. Oh, they spot him out!
Oh, they spot Doom. They've caught him. He's dead instantly. Apfel now has to kite like a god, or else he's just gone down. Good gauntlet traps everyone up. Apfel just 1v1ing Rickameza. Does he have the damage? It seems he does. He goes through. He blocks the Ordained, but the reach of the Glaive able to just pop him in that burst. Losing their Baptiste, I'm not sure it really means anything. Justman just trying to provide time more than anything. If he holds this wave up, then it prevents a huge push, but PTLM is going to secure his turret.
Man, I absolutely lost the plot in that fight. I sort of defaulted to thinking Dynasty were getting jumped on, but no, it was Kestrel getting blown up. Really, really strong engagement. If you don't know that you have safety to move forward in stealth, it can be a really risky
Justman dies here, right?
Very likely, right? Like, PT Lamb's got the damage. Unless Kestrel can come and turn it.
Oh, the bait!
Oh, no.
Oh, the bait! I'm the Doom! Oh, he's got one shot as well. They're going to chase forward. Apfel's ready to take this fight. They're charging on in. They're looking for the damage here, AJ. They want to finish this right here, right now, and it looks like Mowgli is going to use that Divine Intervention just to buy the time. But he goes down, he gets trapped, and he's dead. Kraken, it's available, and Mouse are going to look to take it.
Oh man, the Vanguard did so much work at just barely keeping Justman alive there. We've got Rickameza near the Kraken. PT Lamb did have to back. I wonder if he can get here in time to contest, maybe steal it away. It was close earlier on. Could be close again. Rickameza needs to... He doesn't have any of his stacks yet, though.
Oh, the fear. That's going to be Apfel in a war. He gets knocked out, but no huge block, and PT Lamb just gets destroyed. The gauntlet won't trap Rickameza, but it might just be done. It's a 50-second death timer on PT Lamb. Rickameza is not going to go back home. He is going to get blown up to smithereens. It's an ace for Mouse, and it's now looking like it's going to be GG.
That was really close to working, but PT Lamb didn't commit quickly enough. He didn't actually find the knockback during the B ability on the Baptiste. It's going to be game, Dalsy. I think Mousesports has done it.
They are taking down this Vayne Crystal, and in a clean 2-0, they're going to defeat Dynasty here and take their second consecutive week of Europe.
Mousesports look incredibly strong. It's interesting, though, that Reliable Union was the team to give them the most pushback this week. Excited to see what they can offer next week, too. Dynasty, they did improve also. Across the board, I feel like Europe is really pushing forward, is really innovating a little on 2.6, refining what they've already learned. This is one of the most competitive seasons we've seen, I believe, for Europe.
And summer is always the competitive season of Vainglory, as some of the younger players, they don't have school to worry about. It's a super exciting time here in 2017 for all of these players. That wraps us up for week 2 of Europe. And so on behalf of AJ and myself, Dalsy, let's throw it back to Munch and the desk to wrap up Europe.
Thank you very much, guys, and it is going to be Mousesports taking that one 2-0 in the end. It was a little bit closer towards the end. We did see Dynasty fight back a little bit, but Mouse pretty handedly taking that one. I want to talk about their team fighting specifically, because that seems to be Mouse's biggest strength as a team.
It really does. Their team fighting ability is really good in taking advantage of opportunities that their opponents sort of create by going in. And multiple times